have today Dr. Chomba Chuma, who is the head of Lighthouse Healthcare, one of the companies that we've supported in the past and have had a long and fruitful relationship with. And then also Mrs. Rochelle Buerta, who is from ICAT Environmental Solutions and the head of Special Capital Projects.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Laura. Yeah, I think just as an SMME, ICAT operates in the agricultural and mining sectors. And in these two sectors specifically, both locally and globally, bio-based products have gained a lot of momentum. In the agricultural sector, we are focused on the tree crop and a few row crop, sectors. And over the past 5 years, the use of bio-based products have gained a lot of positive market acceptance, and sales have grown exponentially, and products have been developed by a lot of local companies. I think this is on the back of the international and local promotion of sustainable and regenerative agricultural production. We are well known that biofertilizers, biostimulants, and biocontrol agents have been used more regularly in the market. However, more than crop yield, crop management practices, improved sustainable is the whole issue around soil health and quality and root zone health that's been really pushing, being pushed into the agricultural market with other secondary spin-offs. In the mining sector, there's been a push for alternatives towards the traditional dust palliative that's been used in the mining sector. So that would include traditional lignosulfonate, bitumen-based emulsified products, and other polymer-based. So definitely from a mining and agricultural perspective, there's been a big push and acceptance for locally developed and manufactured bio-based products.
Okay, thank you. My name is Chomba. I think the acceptance is, from a human consumption perspective, it's mainly over the last, I would say, around 20 years. I think when some of us went back to medical school, we never learned anything about probiotics. But if I ask everyone here, I think every time you visit your doctor and you get an antibiotic, most likely you get a probiotic as well. So that has been very recent in the last maybe 15 years. And the perception is more of the requirement to have the microbiome being replaced after you've already killed all the bad bacteria, because in most cases, you get a broad spectrum antibiotic that just kills everything. But the other thing that has happened also is there's been a lot of research in the area, and the issue has been the understanding that we have more than 100 trillion bacteria in our microbiome, and that is like 10 times more what we have in our body. And everyone is asking, what are all these probiotics sitting here doing? So they must be having a function, and I think that has been elucidated over the last couple of years, and with that comes the acceptance to use them for medical value. Yeah.
So of course the bio-based stuff is all new, and as you've pointed out, in the last 20 years and even shorter for the agribiologicals. But what aspects of new technology development and commercialization do you struggle with in the bio-based space? And that's a challenge to the industries or the companies that you are part of.
I think for that, it's primarily, and I guess this is something that is evolving to the advantage of local industry. The main thing has been the technology is new, and therefore most likely you have to get the products from outside. We don't have any local production of probiotics in South Africa. And with that, it means that we have to rely on especially other countries. The two big manufacturers, of course, is Europe and the US, but we have a lot of Asian manufacturers coming up. So the importation of the products into South Africa is a major issue, but that also comes with the research, because if you're not producing it, chances are that you're just going to work with what you've been given. So there's not much room for innovation. Being a very new area, there's a lot of research going on. And if we're not doing the research ourselves, it means that we cannot do what others are doing. And I think that challenge would get less and less if we manufacture locally. New opportunities come up. The research shows that this is good, and we start working on it and producing it locally. And that helps to spin off the industry and make it grow much faster. So I think the biggest challenge for me and the experience has been having to rely on outside manufacturers for our own local needs.
In agriculture, and Santon just mentioned it, the regulatory approvals, the funding and time and resources required to register biological products in agriculture. The moment you get to the market, you've kind of missed the boat, or there's other large corporate companies that's already developed similar technologies. Once you've managed to register a product in agriculture and you try to position it and sell it, then if the demand is there, it relates to what he's saying is in terms of being able to supply. As an SMME, we don't have our own manufacturing facilities and we rely on third-party toll manufacturers, and then price and quality again comes into play, and that's critical factors that needs to be monitored. Also, as an SMME, and OEM, we rely on agents and distributors to be our extension in the value chain and sell and promote our products. Bioproducts is a bit of a disruptive technology in our opinion. There's still a big lack in terms of technical skill, interpretation and training for sales and technical people in field that works with the end user. And for us, relying on them to position and sell the products with a lack in certain aspects of the technology and the functioning of these complex products, it does make it difficult for us.
Rochelle, we were talking earlier about demand-side incentives that support new technology and new product development in their bio-based products. Won't you share with the rest of the room your comments that you had on that as well?
Yeah, I recently attended a farming day, and it was quite focused again on bio-based products. And in South Africa, in the agricultural space, there's been new programs launched relating to carbon and carbon credits, as well as tax incentives. That's again in the mining field. So there's definitely incentives that drives the demand for the development of bio-based products. As well as not only being sustainable operations, but the use of locally green technology to increase overall efficiency and green, technology in the operations, and that contributes to a low carbon economy. Yeah.
Chomba, on your side, demand side incentives?
For us, I think it's a bit different because I'll take a step back from the regulatory position that Rochelle mentioned here. One of the things is getting through SAPRA. I think that is getting easier because the registration of products becomes an issue. But what happens is, especially once you take a product and there's good uptake, one of the things we saw, and I remember very well, is that when we started filling in the pipeline for clicks, we could not be able to meet that demand. And unfortunately, we had to first ship out the production. But I think over a period of time, our demand has been gradual enough for us to be able to work with the local production that we have here. And that has helped because looking forward, I think some of the measures we've put in place, including actually manufacturing here in South Africa, in CSIR, is going to help us with the demand that we foresee in the next few years.
I'd like to take one or two questions from the room. Are there questions that any of the participants here would like to ask? I've got more questions, but is there anybody out there that has a question as well? Okay. All right. So let me ask one of my questions then. Once the technology has been developed and you've now accessed the intellectual property relating to, let's say, the encapsulation technology that the CSIR provided, what is your next challenge? And maybe we'll start with Chomba on that.
I guess this is where the entrepreneurial and your business skills come in, but and of course the industry matters. Our industry, especially for the over-the-counter products, is primarily at that point when we started. I'm talking about 4 or 5 years ago with the probiotics, was primarily driven by the brick and mortar retailers. and I don't want to name names here. We all know them, especially the two big boys in the room. Unfortunately, getting a listing space and having your products listed is a big step, because distribution is primarily brick and mortar, and South Africa still works on around 80-85% brick and mortar. So that's one of the big challenges. The good thing, and I think this is a positive aspect, is that the online retailers are becoming more and more aggressive, and I think it's much easier. They're accepting everyone. I hope everyone knows that Amazon is possibly knocking its doors in South Africa, possibly next year. So those online retailers make a big difference, and they make, and especially after COVID, we all know that brick and mortar took a big hit. So the challenge of distribution is a major one in our industry, and getting a good distribution of your products, getting them in the consumer's hands is very important. But of course, on top of that, we have the marketing aspect, driving sales, and there are many other things that we can talk about in terms of challenges. But I think one of the main ones, and this is something that you'll hear across the board when technology is being developed, how do we distribute, how do we get our products to the final consumer? And especially if the product is consumer based, it needs to get to the final person who is all over. It doesn't make sense for us. I remember there's a time when you could get funding, you start talking about the product, but the product doesn't get to the consumer's hands, and that's a big challenge. But yes, things have changed. I think online distribution has changed the ballgame completely, and I think that is going to continue being a main channel for especially new entrants. In the next 10 years, I think brick and mortar will be much smaller than it is right now.
Rochelle, and for you guys?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of similarities, just in a different market. I think as an SMME, protecting IP IP law is not uniform worldwide. So as an SMME, it's strategically more commercially viable to position your initial product in a market where it's protected to some extent. Consumer acceptance or market acceptance, again, there's a fine balance between pushing technology coupled with the market demand, and we rely on third-party distributors and agents and their skill and ability to position our products. And I think as a SMME, the access to capital markets and funding for next generation products, there's no use in having a one-hit wonder and you've got no secondary follow-up product to increase your market segment and grow your business sustainably and organically. I think that's quite important. And also to the decision-making process in allocating R&D expenditures as well as commercialization funding in an uncertain environment where we are competing against large agricultural, well-known established companies where they have unlimited access to roll out similar competition technologies. And the market is also more willing to accept products from well-known, long-established brand as opposed to smaller enterprises. So just to get your foot in the market, it's a lot more difficult as a smaller type of company. Yeah.
All right. And then my last question, and it's a little bit self-serving. How has the BIDC helped you guys to overcome some of the challenges that you have? Because knowing these challenges, it's how we have positioned our offering in support of technology development and localization and local manufacture. So maybe a one-liner. we don't take up too much time with it.
I hope this is not being broadcasted in SABC. I mean, it all started in BIDC with our company, and I think Lara has been part of that journey and everyone in BIDC. But I think I was also lucky that on top of looking at probiotics, we also partnered with the polymers and composites division where we did the microencapsulation. But I think it would be safe to say that without the initial part that you played and the polymers division played, we would not have come up with the microencapsulated probiotics. So it's a huge role, and I think going forward, that's a role, as Santosh has clearly demonstrated, that's a role that I think is very important to grow not just products, but innovative products and disrupt the market from a biotech perspective. So it's a massive role. We cannot belittle it in any way.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of touching points there, but I think for ICAT, we've had the privilege of working with you guys for 2.5 to 3 years, and we're still on a few other projects with you. The highly skilled, multidisciplinary, diverse team that you have and the support that you play throughout the whole concept to commercialization process is it's unparalleled. We would have not been able to put these products to market without your assistance in terms of infrastructure, technical viability assessments, and funding. So yeah, we'd like to thank you, and we're excited to roll out more projects with you to contribute to the whole biotechno industry. Yeah, thank you.
And I think I'll end with one last question to Santosh, and it's a slightly unprepared, but the guys have been very kind in how they've experienced our center and the support we've given. But could you maybe just end us off on what we've learned by working so closely with these enterprises and how that enables us to provide better support and specific support to what it is that they need?
I think my one learning myself is that that no idea is actually too far-fetched or too out there. Every idea has something that you can kind of carve out and try and look at, innovating. And my hat's off to, as an ex-entrepreneur as well, my hat's off to the South African entrepreneurs. I simply love the ideas. I simply love the products that you'll have in your mind. And I love working with them to try and actually make that product a reality. So yeah, I think it's been also a learning exercise for us at CSIR. We like I say, we try and put the spin in terms of your product to get that uniqueness out. Example, a probiotic is a probiotic is a probiotic. What Dr. Chumba has is a unique product offering because his product actually shows survivability through the space. That is the way it's supposed to work. The same with agri-biologicals. There's a number out there. What we've got is the first local products that are there, local indigenous products that are going to be able to be affordable to your small-scale subsistent farmers as well. And that's our markets. So thank you, and please, chat more.
Thank you very much.